Hi everyone, it's Dave Ghoul, and today I bring you guys a new episode, the third episode, I think, of the Simple Ghouls Podcast. Here with me today, I have Simple Weeb once again.
Hello everyone, my name is Simple Ghouls, and it's a pleasure to be here again. Finally, another episode of the podcast, the third, yes.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
think it's
happy.
the third one. I think we only did three so far.
Yeah,
Uh, and it's been a while, we definitely been doing other things. and
true, true.
and yeah, it's really refreshing to be doing this, mainly because I don't have to edit too much the content, so that's always good.
I get you. Man, my summaries are so hard to edit. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and you've been doing it much more than I have, edited videos, and scripted videos in this case, so
Yeah,
I can only imagine. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about two main topics. We still don't know if we're going to have time to talk about a third one. We'll see. But that one, if we do eventually do one, it's going to be out of the blue for sure. But yeah, these two ones I think are very interesting because we're going to be talking about a couple of series that maybe you guys have heard about, maybe you haven't. Some of them I think I've talked here on the channel. Um, I don't know about Simple Weeb if he has talked about them before, but we're gonna find out. We don't. Side note: we don't know each other's choices, so it's gonna be fun in that
yeah,
aspect. We're going in blind. So yeah, we're gonna talk about underrated anime that we think not many people talk at all, and finales, our favorite anime finales. Now, when we talk about anime finales, we're talking about it can be um, finales of a season. Of, for example, we have a series like, for example, One Piece, right? If One Piece was seasonal, we have if the this first season of One Piece, if the ending we enjoyed the ending more compared to a season two, we pick that finale. It doesn't necessarily have to be the finale of the entire series. Mainly because One Piece doesn't have a finale yet, so and it's not seasonal. It was just an example. So yeah, are we ready to
but it's
begin?
good anyway. So.
But it's gonna be good. I mean, if he has done One Piece so far for so long, and it has been what the fans consider good quality altogether, well, I think there's no way he's gonna make a bad
A
ending.
bad ending. Yeah.
So yeah. So, you want to start? You want me to start? I can give you the honors, my friend, if you want.
Okay. Yeah. I think I can start because I remember that I gave you this idea because I at the time I told you like we could talk about this um, like a good while ago I think, and it was because I had just finished a series called Eat Invaded, and I really enjoyed them. I
Yes.
would say it's not for everyone because it talks about a lot of psychology and all of that, and talks about the Freud's theory of the id. If you don't know it, it's really hard to explain. I don't think it would probably take the whole time we have for the podcast. So go check it out on the internet. But basically, it's the subconscious of our mind, and it's the main character is kind of a spy, not a spy, detective, and I really like those kind of stuff. I really like mystery,
Yeah.
so I was I really enjoyed the series because of that, because I really enjoy mysteries, and I really like to uncover and unravel the things that will happen in the series before they happen. Like I love to make theories. My first video on my channel was a theory video, so I quite enjoy theories, and that series really draw me because of that, because it's at the beginning, it's the way it starts. It starts in the action, because the main character, he is a serial killer and technically he was a detective, and then he killed a serial killer that killed his family. I don't want to get a lot of into it because that's kind of important for the rest of the story, and it's not that big of a series. It's quite a small series, unfortunately, because I think that some things were confused in the end. In the end, started to getting a little bit confusing because it started to go very fast pace, you know. So, but it's a really good series nonetheless. And if you love mysteries, I'm pretty sure you're gonna love this series. If you love like detective stuff and all of that, like me as a kid that watched the detective shows on TV, you're definitely gonna love this series. And I haven't seen anything about it, and don't see anyone talk about it invaded. So I was like, man, this series is so good. Why is it not? Like I get that in the end it's very fast paced and gets kind of confusing, but it's good anyway. So why isn't anyone talking about it? You know, I think that's the reaction of everyone that has just watched the series that thought they were really good and cannot find anyone talking about it, because that's the reaction of everyone. So I was really surprised that no one was ever talking about it. And
Yeah.
I have to say, I really liked the series. And I thought it was a really good series, although that fast pacing in the end kind of make it confusing. But like I said, if you like mysteries, you're definitely gonna love the series. I don't know if you have watched it yet, but I don't think so.
I watched the first episode because you recommended me. I also didn't hear about the series at all, so I watched it and I found it very interesting. I thought I liked the concept behind it and how different it looked. Definitely an interesting series for the year, really, of
Yeah, especially
2020.
because I think it was this year that it came out, and
Yeah, I
well,
think it was
this year
this year.
there wasn't that good of anime coming out because of the current situation.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that it was a good series, and the that's the thing. The concept is really interesting, and I was at the time I was and I'm now in college, but before I was studying psychology at school, and I kind of connected with the like the concept of the series because Freud is psychology. He is the father of psychology and all of that. So I really connected with the concept of the series too. And
yeah.
your choice?
So my choice, I still don't know which one I should start. I guess I'll start with one that I've actually talked about before on the channel, very fairly recently, and this is one of my personal favorites, and it's a film. It's called "I Want to Eat Your Pancreas." Now, if you
Yeah.
guys haven't watched my video, please go check it out. I really appreciate it. I delve a little bit deeper, yeah, deeper into um, what exactly is about and how much I love it. But simply put it, it's a romance anime. It's not what the title implies. The title is definitely one of the weirdest titles for any anime, I think. But it's basically Your Lie in April, but for grown-ups. And Your Lie in April is already very emotional and quite mature, I would say. But I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is much more. I feel like I could see a story like this happening in real life. Its approach is very realistic, even though it's in animation. There is a live action film. There are many adaptations. I mean, you have the original novel, you have the manga, you have the live action, and you have this anime film. But the first one that I saw was the film, And I remember, you know, I remember watching it, and at the time, I saw everyone who talked about this movie comparing to Your Name, and to me, it boggles my mind how Your Name is so much more popular. To I want to eat your pancreas. They're both great, but I think this one is even better as a romance. It's definitely one of my favorite romances.
I
Um,
agree.
and it's, I don't know, I feel like not many people talk about this, and it's so it's so interesting because it's such a good movie, and everything about the film, the animation, the voice acting, um, the score, I think the story, of course, I think it's so great. And yeah, even though I've talked about this anime here in my channel before, I think it definitely is definitely an underrated anime, and it definitely deserves a mention. So yeah, I think you guys should definitely watch it. If you like mature and and also there's a level of darkness in this story as well. I think you guys are gonna like this. I tend to think. I like to compare to. Of course, Suishida has never written a romance before, but I feel like if he wrote a romance, it will be similar to this. It will be similar to I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. I think in terms of subtleties and all that. So yeah, this is my first recommendation.
Well, I guess no, I'll go with my second, right? So I don't know if I'm gonna steal this from you because I'm like knowing you, you probably have this on your list, maybe not,
Yeah.
but Death Parade, like Death Parade is such a good anime series, and luckily there's more people talking about it than, for example, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas or
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
like but or Eat Invaded. I don't think, for example, there's even I haven't searched it, but I don't think there's a lot of YouTube videos about Eat Invaded, for example. And Death Parade, you can find some,
But
but Death Parade,
it's not as popular, as it
yeah,
probably should be.
but yeah, exactly. Like Death Parade is such a great anime series that even if it got a lot of fame, there's like it should have way more. Like it's kind of famous. It's not. I wouldn't say Death Parade is famous, but there's a lot of people that already talk about it um, and know it and have watched it, but like not as much as it should because Death Parade is such a great series. If you haven't watched Death Parade, I really recommend you. I don't want to spoil a lot of the series, but it's a great series. Basically, the characters like they're dead, and it explores the thing of life after death really well, and it's such a fun and like great anime with great animation, and Jesus Christ, the opening is just
Yeah,
fire.
fantastic.
The, the opening for Death Parade is definitely one of the best openings I've ever heard, and the whole anime itself, it's amazing. So yeah, I don't know if you have watched it, Dave Cool.
I haven't watched all of it, but I have watched some of it, and actually I didn't have it on my list. So, but I find it, I can definitely see how you will put it in your list, and there's actually, fun fact, there's for you Death Note fans, yeah, Death Note fans, I think there's a very interesting Easter egg there. Um,
Yeah, I think there is, yes, and and once again, Death Parade also has like that mystery around it that I really enjoy. So and usually the the series with a lot of mystery are usually not as known as the rest of the series, the anime series. There's a lot of series that have like a mystery around it that maybe are not as known. I don't know why. It's still a mystery for me. Sorry for the pun, but yeah. Um, uh, and Death Parade is definitely an anime series that you guys that are watching should check out because it's amazing. And don't skip the opening because the opening is fire. It's one of the best openings ever. So yeah,
Yeah, I definitely consider it one of the most iconic. So if we did a list of openings, yeah, I think it will be there for sure. You
yeah,
know, we are talking about popularity. I actually think more people will recognize Death Parade for the opening than the actual series, which is I definitely got introduced to Death Parade that way. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
so my next recommendation is one that I think we've both seen, and even though it is a classic, more so the manga than the anime, but I will put the anime there 100% as well. I do think it's not many people talk about this. I go, for example, here on AnyTube, I guess there is only one or two videos that, good videos that, or two great YouTubers that talk about Monster. Um,
Oh yeah,
and I don't know this anime. I guess I've seen it at the beginning of this year, or last year, at the end of last year. Um, I watched Monster the anime first. I do plan on reading the manga as well, and you know Naoki Urasawa is a freaking genius in my mind. Even though I've only seen Monster, this story is just fantastic. I've seen people compare it to Death Note, and I can see when it comes to the detective aspect and the mystery or the investigation in this case, is it is a little bit like that, is very methodical, but I still think Monster is in a league of its own. Um, Unlike Death Note as well, I think it's just perfect. I guess I only have one complaint about the Monster, and that's regarding a certain character in the story, that I don't see. It doesn't really have an important role, or both, plot wise or theme wise as well. But other than that, I think it's a lengthy show. It's 70 something episodes, but every single episode, it's it just glues you, it's a journey that you want to see how it unfolds. And to me, it has a really solid protagonist. Um, and it has probably one of the best antagonists. If you ask anyone who has seen Monster or has read Monster, they'll tell you the same thing. It has one of the best antagonists ever made, in Johan. Um, and even for me, it's a little bit difficult to pronounce the name because it's German. He is very methodical. He constantly does things in the shadows, but his personality and his charisma is it's he's such a fascinating character, and there's so many dimensions and layers to his character. And um well, I'm not going to speak more about it because I want to do it later. There's this particular aspect of this series that I want to say for later, but if you have not seen Monster, please do. Especially, uh, though the few who talk about Monster usually go always with the manga, but I think the anime, it's just as good. I think it's one of the best adaptations. Um, Again, I haven't read all of the manga, but of what I've read, the little that I've read, I think it absolutely nails it. The tone, the feel, the animation, the character designs are very similar to the manga as well. So please, if you have not checked Monster, do so, because when we talk about master, for example, me and Simple Weeb before the podcast, we were talking about Berserk. Um, if a lot of people consider Berserk as one of the masterpieces, one of the classics, people should, Monster is in that category as well. It's just, to me, it's
Yeah,
close to
absolutely.
perfection. It's close to being a masterpiece. So, yeah.
Yeah, Monster is really good. I completely agree with you. Well, and luckily it wasn't in my list because I'm pretty sure we're gonna steal someone idea because eventually we will happen.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have some good choices here that I think you
Okay.
haven't heard about.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think there's one that we
But
will probably agree. But we'll see, we'll see.
uh, like my third choice was Mushishi. I don't know if you
That's a
know the
good
anime.
one. That's a good one.
Uh, but like Mushishi is it's just great, and no one talks about it. But it's literally the chillest. It's slow pace. I it's a very slow anime, but uh, it doesn't matter because it's so chill. Like and it's so beautiful. Like it's just I don't know why I like so much this series, but it's a really good series, and it's just good in the way that talks of the idea of spirits and the way that talks about the relationship between man and nature. It's just amazing. So I like I don't have a lot to say about his anime because, like I said, I don't really know why I think it's so good. I just know it's good. It's one of those weird cases that you just know the anime is great. You don't know why, but it's great. It's so yeah. So I it's like Akira. Akira is not my list. I don't know if it's in yours because Akira is very well known. Like you love Akira. Everyone that sees Akira loves Akira, but we don't really know why we like the movie Akira so much. And I think Mushishi is quite similar because it's just good. It's just amazing, and no one talks about it, and you can't understand why. So yeah, I don't know if Dave will watch it, but it's definitely a really good series.
And I think the reason why not many people talk about it's because it's a difficult anime to recommend, to say good things, like you pointed out, because it really has to do much about the tone. The tone, I think it's the aspect that makes the you know the experience watching it so intoxicating almost. It's like you're on drugs. I don't know if you have seen, for example, I've seen a couple of films where it it's you're so in the zone watching the films. It's like you're on drugs, like you're being drugged, but you're not. I guess Mushishi is a little bit like that. It feels very peaceful. It feels very. It really comes down to the tone, I think. But yeah, that's a great choice. I actually didn't thought about that one. That's the good thing about we have more or less the same taste, but at the same time, we see different shows as well, and so we can
Yeah,
recommend each other, which is great. Um, so I guess since we're talking about Mushishi and the whole thing about tone, I guess I'll talk about Girls Last Door, which is it like Mushishi. It's difficult to say why it's good because there's not much to its story, and its themes are very simple, very complex, and very simple at the same time. I It's one of those shows that it's about tone. You watch that show. It's 12 episodes. It's short. It's based on a manga as well, and it's such a cute and yet depressing show, and yet calm show at the same time. It's just phenomenal. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's about these two girls that at first you think they're the two only living beings left in the world, but you find out there's more to how the world was, how society was basically destroyed and all that. And they make their journey. They're trying to find food and things like that, and they make their journey in a tank. It's not a tank. It's similar to a tank, right? But it's more of a vehicle than a combat vehicle, and um, and it's just their journey, exploring the world, talking to each other, finding out more about the world around them, and I don't know, it's such a sweet show. I think I don't, it may not be for everyone, but I think you should definitely give it a try. If you don't really like it, what you watch the first episode and you don't really like it, I don't blame you. It probably won't be for you the rest of the series because it keeps the tone. The tone is very consistent throughout, but I think if you do enjoy the first episode and you like the characters, I think the characters are phenomenal. Um, I think you're gonna enjoy this series, and I think it's definitely underrated. Not many people talk about this whatsoever. I can understand why, because it's not revolutionary. It's not mind blowing. Nothing gigantic happens in this series. It's very slice of life, but I think it's a different kind of slice of life, to the point that it's definitely one of the best ones. And and again, it's a very nice show. And when I say nice, usually we talk about nice and it's like it's you see it and you forget about it. You don't really forget about this one. This one stays with you a little, and it's just charming.
So, and I'll be honest, I haven't seen it, the that series. I know it because I've seen a lot of pictures of the two girls in the quotation marks tank.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I've seen a lot of pictures of that, but I haven't seen the anime yet. I guess I have to give it a try.
Again, it's
So
talking about you watching it. I don't know if you're gonna particularly like it. I don't know if it's your. I think you like slice of life, right?
yeah, I
Uh,
kind of like a little bit of everything, to
you
be
know,
honest.
it has. It's slice of life, but again, it's much more about the tone, right? It's like when you watch Mushishi, and it's more about the feeling, right?
Yeah,
And less about the story itself. So, again, I don't know. It really depends on the kind of person, right? If the feeling works for you, okay. But if you want more, if you seek more when it comes to story, right? Maybe it's not for you. So, yeah.
yeah. So one of the things I've also chose was Angels of Death. Hear
God
me out.
damn
I know the
it!
series. I
Why
know
did
that
you do this to me?
I know the series is like not the greatest thing ever, but no one talks about it. And sorry, the game that the series is based. By the way, I saw some playthroughs and some gameplays. The game is amazing. By the
the
way,
game, the
just
game
saying.
seems good. The game looks good, actually.
And the anime, although like once again, I think most of the series we're talking about and we're gonna talk about, they're like not the greatest series you'll ever see in your life. They're not the most amazing stuff you'll see, but they're good enough to that they should be more talked about. That's the whole thing. Like they're not amazing, not 10 out of 10, but no one talks about it, and maybe more
Mm-hmm.
people should because it's good. And I think Angels of Death, it's one of those because no one talked about it when it came out, and no one talks about it. It's only the people that played the game or like the game. Only those people talked about the anime, and I think more people should have talked about it because man, the anime is it's it's good. It's really good. I really like it, especially in the beginning. I think most of these series always kind of start to fail in the end, and maybe that's not why not a lot of people talk about it. because they're not as memorable as maybe series that because and we're gonna discuss that later in the video when we're gonna discuss the finales. But one a big part of the anime is the finale. It's very important, and most of the series we're talking about don't have that great of a finale, and maybe that's why not a lot of people talk about it. And that I don't know if you agree with me, but I think that Angels of Death falls into that category. The idea is good. The way they made it is good. I really like the mystery around it. Once again, I think if it has mystery, I like it. I think that's the thing for me. But once again, the ending was rushed and it was kind of confusing.
Yeah, it was.
But besides that, the series is really good. And if you like mystery and if you're like a psychopath with a huge thing, I don't remember how is it called, the thing he carries?
The scythe? Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah.
If you like psychopaths with a huge scythe, you're definitely gonna love this series. But no, for real, like the series is really good, and I would say it's fairly unknown because not a lot of people know it, besides the people that play the game. And like I would say, like in the beginning, it's amazing, and then the things start, the action and all the series and the mystery of the series starts to get cold and golden. But especially, I thought I was caught up with the series immediately with the beginning, because the beginning is amazing.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
And yeah, that's a really good anime. It's kind of one of the things that I can't talk a lot about it because it will involve a lot of spoilers too. Because a lot of the reasons why the series is good is also because of spoiler reasons, and but yeah, it has a like creepy, mysterious vibe to the series that I really enjoy. And if I happen to find the game, or I'll probably buy the game because the gameplays I saw were really good, and the anime series is good too. And man, I get why Dave will. You had it on your list, right, Dave?
No, I didn't have it on my list. That one, definitely not. I did not expect you to actually talk about that one.
Really?
Because no, not at all.
At the beginning, I thought because you sounded like you said something I really.
So that was that one. Oh, you completely caught me off guard. I did not expect you to talk about that one.
Really?
Yeah, I thought. All right, the next one is gonna be the one I thought you were gonna talk about. We'll get there in a second, but I did not expect you to pick this one. Not at all.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like this series?
I guess it's the same. I have the same thoughts that I share the same thoughts that I have with Sword Art Online, at least the first half, where I think it's very mid. It's very reasonable, I don't see I don't see anything truly special about this. I can understand why you enjoy it. You talked about the mystery. Definitely the reason why I decided to watch the entire series to the very end was the mystery.
Was because of the mystery.
The mystery behind what was her name? Rachel?
Yeah, Rachel.
Because of course we knew there was something about her past, and that was the thing that made me want to know. But you talked about
what was kind of what I was saying. Like the beginning is really like impacting, and you're just like, well, what? Wait, what?
It's interesting. Like, it's an interesting.
It draws you. It draws you. The beginning.
I guess
like I said, in the ending, and the things start to like cool down, and just it's not as good as it could be, in my opinion. But it's a fairly good series, in my opinion. And if you like the game, you definitely watch the series. But if you never played the game, that's a good way like to start. Watch the anime. It's not as good as the game. I think the story in the game is better.
I guess that was my issue, is that the game, you're absolutely right. I think it's a very interesting game, and I guess it works better as a game because
Yeah.
when I was
I
watching,
kind of wanted to recommend the game, so
yeah,
and I didn't find a way. So
because
so I was
the
like,
anime,
if I
I
talk
think,
about the anime, I could talk about the game too.
because that's the thing. I
Yeah.
think you can't talk about this anime without talking about the game, because one of my issues with the anime was it felt very, the structure was very, clearly it was of a game, and it felt,
Yeah.
to me, it felt like this worked better as a game than an anime series.
It works better, but I wanted to talk about the game, so I found the perfect opportunity. It was
Oh, so it was a fucking cop out. Great.
But yeah, like I really recommend you to check the game and play the game, or at least see a gameplay. And if you want to watch the anime is not bad, but it's nothing amazing. Like you said, it's kind of Sword Art Online without the fact that Kirito programs a new game with 15 years old. But that's something we could discuss in
That
another day.
again. Oh, Jesus. You always
Because
mention that fucking scene. It's
I have a
incredible.
lot to say. Man, it's just stupid. Like let me just say, like he's 15 or 16 and he's programming a game that is completely new. No one knows how it works, and he's able to get in the system and get out an AI, and super developed technology, and transform it into an in-game play, into in-game item. And with all that, he wasn't able to turn on the logout button. Just saying, like it's just stupid. So Angel of Death is still better than Sword Art Online.
Okay,
Just saying.
I'm not gonna deny that. I think we're on the same page. Have you heard about I mean, it's sort of a reboot. They're gonna do a new Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
From the first arc.
The progressive,
but, yeah,
yes.
It's the author, I think, did a sort of a remake, like what Suishida did with the first chapter of Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah.
It changed some things in order to make it better. I've heard that it doesn't add, it doesn't make it, a masterpiece or anything like that, but it does solve a couple of problems. Maybe that one, I don't know.
Kirito doesn't hack into a system when he's 15.
Yeah.
That's just my hopes.
I hope so as well, but honestly, I don't know. I don't think so.
I honestly don't think so. I think the author is still gonna put Kirito as a badass motherfucker. Just saying.
Yeah, probably.
And that's the worst part of the series. But yeah.
Maybe we should have put Sword Art Online in the list to see what people will say. Because there are fans of the show. I mean, there are loyal fans.
Yeah,
obviously.
my brother loves the show. My brother already said no. I love the show.
But your brother. Now your brother is still young, so we'll give him a pass. So.
Yeah, but like he literally said it was his favorite series, and that Kirito was his husband, and Esbando, and Asuna was his wife. I'm just saying, like, what the fuck?
He's still young. Give him a chance.
No, but I think now it isn't his favorite series. I hope. Well, I made him watch One Piece, so I think now maybe One Piece is his favorite series. At least from what he has seen, it's probably the best he has seen. So,
yeah.
If you have a little brother that just watches shit, just comment down there because I'm with you. I'm with you. I can't make my brother watch some good shit. Well, I made him watch One Piece, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah. We need to put them on the right track, With my brother, exactly. As well, I had to recommend him some tasteful anime, because he was
As a
heading
elder
that.
brother,
It
as an older
was
brother, I
as a
felt
older bro,
the need
exactly.
and the obligation to act as like that, as a mentor to my brother to guide him to a good way of anime.
He's sensei. You have to be a sensei to your little brother. Um, right. The next recommendation. So this actually, I thought you were gonna put this one. I don't know if you still put this one in your list, but
Yeah, let's see.
um, Love is War.
Oh yeah, I kind of did.
See, I knew
Well,
it. I just again, I thought we were talking about Love is War first. I knew that you were gonna have it on your list, but I just didn't expect that it was actually Angels of Death. Um, but yeah, this. I mean, I don't understand how nobody talks about this show. I think people talked about it initially when the first season came out, um, but ever since, season two, not nearly enough people talked about it. And, even with season one, I mean, that ending, I don't want to talk too much about the ending, but that ending was just, that final episode was just beautiful. And nobody talked about it. And it's like, it's one of the most consistent anime series, I think, because, Demon Slayer got the award for best animation of the decade. I mean, I think I love the animation in Demon Slayer, but I think Love Is War was they were both consistent with their animations, but Love Is War, man, that show when it comes to animation, it is it's just a feast to the eyes, and the characters are all lovable, are all incredible. The humor, it's so damn funny. It's one of the funniest shows I've seen. It really is. It's just gold. And and the romance. I thought that it was gonna be comedic, 100% comedic from beginning to end, and it starts to have it still keeps the comedy, and it intertwines the comedy with the romance very well, but it starts to become much more romantic and much more mature when it comes to its romance. And it's like, I remember finishing the season because I knew I was gonna like it, mainly because when I watched the trailer for the first time, I was immediately on board. I've again, the flair, the visual flair, and the concept alone, it was very relatable, I think, to all of us, or at least to most of us. And I watched the finale, and I remember thinking to myself, how the hell did you know, end up thinking that, I still put that first season in my top list of favorite animes. That's how good it was to me. And I personally was so surprised because I did not expect it. I did not expect it, genuinely expect it to hit me as much as it did. And I mean, Kaguya is just incredible. I think as a character, I think she definitely was the one that evolved the most in the series. And yeah, and
yeah,
it's weird.
absolutely.
It's weird to have two. Not re. No, it is weird, to have two underrated anime. I think are underrated anime that are both in my list of all-time favorites. No, three anime because I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, Monster, and Love Is War. I think are you know to me are some of my favorites, and it's like, so few people talk about this, and again, it's frustrating in a way. I don't know if you have something to say about Love Is War that I haven't already.
Like, no, I completely agree with you, and I had it on my list. Like, it's amazing. I still I still think that it's fairly talk, but it should be like there should be more people talking about it because especially the second season because it's just amazing. It's an amazing series, and if you haven't watched it, just do a favor to yourself and watch Kaguya-sama Love Is War. So yeah.
And the great thing about it as well is that I would say like something like One Punch Man, right? You can watch the first season and be completely fine, even more so than One Punch Man. I mean, I think you watch if you just watch the first season, I think you get the whole package, you know. You don't even need to watch the follow up seasons if you don't, Although they're also great, but it's one of those rare things where again it's perfect. I think it's there's no I have no flaws about it. And Chica's dance as well is a blessing from the heavens, obviously. So
Yeah, and well, it's definitely better than Demon Slayer. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So yeah, what is your next choice?
Okay, I think I'll go with this one because it's a really good series. I don't think anyone, like, not a lot of people have seen this because it's a very experimental anime and it's Ergo Proxy. I don't know if you know it.
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Yet.
like this anime it's in the lore. Like no one, not a lot of people have seen it because and it's a really good anime series because it's very experimental. Like it has a mix of genres and it's in a post-apocalyptic world and that it discusses a lot of themes, especially like robots and human like and I really like those kind of futuristic post-apocalyptic scenarios where like robots are becoming dangerous or it kind of feels a little bit like I forgot the name. It's an amazing movie. We talked about it. Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
It's a
yeah,
little.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. You
yeah.
mentioned.
Like it's a little bit like if you like Ghost in the Shell, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like Ergo Proxy, and yeah, it's really good. It's another one of those series that like there's not a lot of things I can say because it's for a very specific niche.
Yeah.
But even if you're not into those kind of things, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like Ergo Proxy anyways because it's really good and it discusses a lot of things and a lot of themes that I think that are still like very dated. No, that the very well they age really well because yeah, and it's definitely a series that a lot of people should check out and more people should talk about it because it's really good. I know that, for example, C-Dog from the YouTuber, I think he had talked about, he watched it and he talked about it, but not a lot, So, yeah, I think Ergo Proxy, it's a really good series that more people should check out because I think this anime is not that much talk because not a lot of people had seen it too. Only like those hardcore, in quotation marks, the hardcore fans have seen it. I'm not an hardcore fan, and I've seen it, but Ergo Proxy, it's a really good story, and yeah, I really recommend it if you want to check. If you don't have anything to watch, I really recommend Ergo Proxy, or just put it on your list because it's amazing, and yeah. Like, I don't know if you have watched it, Dave Gould.
I haven't. I actually haven't. I've heard about it, but I still haven't seen it.
It's really good. The perfect opportunity to watch it. No, yeah. it's good.
Okay then. So this next one, it's once again, I think you could consider it a classic as well. And this is probably the most underrated one, I think. You, you know, I don't, I, I doubt you actually know about this one. You know, um, and that is Angel's Egg. Now, Angel's Egg, for context, was directed, I think, by the same director who did Ghost in the Shell, the original film. So, and this, it's it's not for everyone. You know, to me it's one of the most underrated, but I can also understand why not why I see no one talk about this. I actually discovered this. This is, I won't say it's a film. It's a two-part OVA. Um, it's it's pretty short. You can watch it in one sitting. Um, I actually discovered this by Chris Stuckman, uh, who if you don't know who Chris Stuckman is, he does film reviews and he also does some anime reviews as well. And he made an analysis video of Angel's Egg, and Angel's Egg is one of those films where there's so much subtext to it, and there's so much, you know, so much that you can unpack from it, you know, and
Yeah, I
yeah,
think you've talked about it with me. Like you said you have to watch this. So I think I got to know the anime because of you. I think.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure of it.
I can really remember. Because when I seen this one a while now, and it really impacted me because it's very ambiguous, it's very cerebral, and I love this kind of stories that are very cerebral, and not all of the answers are given to you, and it's so open to interpretation. I absolutely love it, and the way that it constructs its world building, I also think it's just brilliant, and the visuals and the animation. This is an old anime, and the animation, I mean, I think it was made more or less at in the same time period as Ghost in the Shell, because the animation quality, it's more or less the same, and the animation in Ghost in the Shell is just fantastic, right? So, and I will say the visuals in Angel's Egg are even more impactful than in Ghost in the Shell, and it's just the tone of it is, sometimes it feels like you're watching a horror anime, and other times, like, again, the cerebral, it has that cerebral nature, and it's just so trippy, I and it's interesting because I talked about, those kinds of shows and films where, it seems like they're drugging you when you're watching it. With Angel's Egg, it if you did actually drugs watching this, you will be even more fucked up, because this is, it isn't like anything you've ever seen before. It really isn't. It's very unique, and maybe that's why I love it so much. And I think it should be considered an absolute classic. I think it's masterful. There is no dialogue. It's 100% visual, and yet you take so much out of it without relying on dialogue. It's it's fantastic. Once again, I need to rephrase. I need to emphasize this. It's not for everyone. Probably out of the entire list, uh, of both our lists, this is probably the one that, you know, I know you may not like, but I don't know. It really spoke to me, and, I think it's just brilliant. But yeah, way to go to hype it up. Well, but yeah.
So I also have one that it's not for everyone. And this is either no, it's I have one more, but I don't know how many more do you have, but I have this one and one more.
Oh,
And this one is also not for everyone. It's Serial Experiments Lane.
Oh yeah, that's not for everyone for sure.
That's like just saying it's kind of fucked up. You have to kind of have a good pair to watch it because it's deep. It puts you in a very dark place, but it's an amazing series, and not a lot of people talk about it. I think it's kind of like Ergo Proxy in that aspect. It's kind of a rather old anime, and only like the true, in quotations mark, the true anime, the hardcore anime fans like know it. Obviously, I'm not saying you don't need to be an hardcore fan to watch this. Like I said, I'm not an hardcore fan, and I watched both.
Yeah.
Like this is those kind. Not a lot of people that have got in anime recently have watched it because I don't think people would enjoy anime after watching this. Let's be honest. But it's amazing. It's an amazing series. Kind of fucked up, but really really good. And like just saying, she's fucking 13. Like it's kind of scary. In the case of Serious Experiments Lane, like if you don't know, basically the Serial Experiments Lane talks about a girl called Lane, and she has a very fucked up life and personality. Not gonna lie. So if you if you if you dare try to watch this, I'm pretty sure you're gonna love it. But it's not for everyone. The anime we just talked about, the Angel's Egg. The serial, I'm pretty sure you agree with me. Serial Experience Lane is not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart.
It's not.
It's kind of deep. It's kind of dark, but it's amazing anyway. Like yeah, and once again it questions a lot of things. It questions life itself. Like it's very deep. And so yeah, like I really recommend you to watch this, but do it with caution because you might not like it. Not gonna lie. Although it's an amazing series, it's not for everyone. I think I've said it enough times for you to understand. It's yeah. But it's amazing anyway. It's a really good series.
I guess you need to be in that state, in that kind of mood for, you really need to be in a very down place to watch it. You can't just go in neutral. I mean, Jesus, if you go neutrally, you get depressed right away. But I don't know, man. You really need to be with a very strong state of mind, I guess. But yeah, that one is really cerebral as well. And yeah, I agree with you. It's not for everyone for sure. I definitely had some, and I love dark stuff. I do. But even I, just watching the first episode, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Holy shit! That was my reaction. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it really puts
that
you.
That sound is literally my reaction to the
series. Yeah, man. So since we've been talking about fucked up shit, I'm gonna throw this one as well into the mix. Again, now that I'm noticing, I guess I have too many romance anime here. I don't know. I'm just a sucker for romance, really. But this one has to be one of the. Well, it's no elfin lead. I think it's not nearly enough, but it's still a fucked up romance, I will have to say, and that is Scum's Wish. I don't know if you've heard about this one.
I think I've heard the title. I definitely haven't seen the anime, but yeah, I think I've kind of heard. I've definitely heard the title somewhere, but I haven't seen it. Definitely.
I don't really know how to describe this. Really, the plot is very simple. It's about this girl that meets this boy because she is in love with her teacher, because the teacher has been a childhood friend. You know, they're not. You know, he's not. He's a young teacher. You know, so she has known him. They've been neighbors. You
Hope
know.
so.
Yes, yeah. They've been neighbors since since she was young, and she has a crush on him. And she meets this boy that has a crush on the teacher too, and both their teachers have a crush on each other. So
Oh,
yeah, man. It again. It may at first it may seem like it's really it's really trashy and all that, but it's very mature. It's very sexual, and it can be very uncomfortable in certain scenes, but it's very mature in a way that it does so. And it's that kind of thing where, again, I don't usually like to say this, because a lot of anime is not real life. It's not the same as real life, but I could see teenagers in the wrong state of mind doing this in something like this in real life, or feeling like this in the real life. And it's a really interesting exploration of what love is like. It really makes you understand that love is not the same thing as sexual desire. And again, it's from the few people that I've heard about, that I've heard talking about this, uh, opinions are very mixed, generally. But um, I really enjoy it. I think it's a different kind of romance, you know, a more darker look at relationships and love in general. And the animation, again, I think it's spectacular. The style, it's very unique, I would say. It has this hand drawn quality to it, and the way that it sometimes it creates scenes. It imitates the style of a manga panel, which is I found very interesting. I mean, this is based off a manga, but yeah, it's, again, you might not like it because of the subject matter, but I do think it's an interesting exploration of this kind of subject matter. And yeah, it can be fucked up at some points, but yeah, I think it's good. Trust me, trust my word.
well, I guess I'll have to check it out because I definitely haven't seen that. Well, and you reminded me talking about sexual thing, and you remind me of a series I read quite a while ago. Though that series, I'll say it's anti, but hear me out.
I
Hear me out.
already know which one you're talking. Yeah.
Because it's amazing, and I wouldn't recommend the anime, but I would recommend the manga definitely, and that is Nozokiana. I remembered it. I just came out with this because what the series you talked about, and Nozokiana, it's really good and really weird at the same time. But I think it might some people might not like it, but I think it's really good, honestly. I really enjoyed the series when I was reading it, especially because I had come out of a relationship that didn't end that well. So I kind of related with the character. It's some part of the story I don't really want to get in my personal life in the video, obviously. But yeah, like I really like the series because of that, and because like it's like you said, like it creates a very defined. Like it distinguishes the sex from love. It's and it, the series you slowly realize that, because if you don't know, the series starts with a guy moving to an apartment completely new, and he figures out that the walls to his apartment and the one his neighbor's apartment has a hole in the wall, and he can see his neighbor. So he goes to the door and he knocks to warn to tell the neighbor that she has a hole in the wall, and maybe they should take care of it. So like he kind of gets trapped, and they get in this cycle of peeping where like she has the right to look through the wall to the guy to the main character apartment in I don't remember the days, but in a certain days of the week, and he has the right to look in the other days. And Sunday is rest day for some reason. Like in Sunday, no one looks in each other's apartments, and so like it's kind of weird because imagine like he obviously has his life. He's in college, so obviously he goes out with girls, and some days he goes to the apartment and it's the neighbor's time to look through the hole, and obviously like and it's so everything goes around that hole and the relationship between the main character and his neighbor, which is a girl, by the way. That is also important to say, and it's all about that. And I honestly think the series is really good. I think it was Gigok that talked about this series, those series, and I was like, man, I have read this series. I have actually read this.
Makes sense that Gigok did that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I was extremely happy that finally Gigok had talked about. I think his fiance Sid Snap also talked about it, but like Sid Snap talks about every hentai that exists in this planet, so it's kind of normal. But like Gigok talked about it, I was extremely happy that Gigok liked the series I liked. I was like, damn, this guy also read the series I had read before. And he's making a video about it and recommending it. So if Gigok recommends it, it's probably because it's good. Just saying, it's not my well, some people are saying that Gigok has trash taste too, even as the podcast called Trash Taste, but it doesn't matter. I don't have trash taste, so believe that the series is good. Read it. But I really recommend to read the series and not watch. That's the thing, because I've watched a little bit of the anime, the hentai, and the animation is not as good as the manga series in my opinion. So, and it's a finish. The series, the manga is finished, so you can just watch it. And I think it's like 120 chapters. It's not that long. It's not One Piece. Don't worry.
Yeah, you talked to me about this one, and I actually, got very curious about this one. So I still haven't read it, but I need to. I really need to. This one was really interesting. So, Jesus, I still have quite a few. All right, so what we're gonna do here, because we want to talk about the anime finales. I'm not gonna talk as profoundly as I've been doing about these other ones, mainly because I don't know if you already talked about all of yours.
I think I only have one.
Yeah. So
left.
Yeah, this next one's I guess I'm gonna speed up a little bit. So this other one that I have is, and this probably is the most underrated, next to Angel's Egg, out of all of the list, and that is Stars Align. This is a very recent anime series. It I did it came out. I think it came out last year, and it's not necessarily tennis. It's soft tennis, I think. The sport. It's a sports anime, and it's about soft tennis. And it actually, the voice actor who did Kaneki and your favorite Tanjiro, um, he voices the main protagonist in this one, and it's a very interesting role because the protagonist is not that nice. The way that he does things is very mixed. He's definitely a very gray character, and that was one of the reasons why I found his character so interesting. And the main cast of characters is, I think it's very likable, um, the animation, Jesus, the tennis matches are really good, especially for an anime that comes from a studio that it's not very well known, and it's one of those shows that comes out of nowhere, and it just, I think it's an hidden gem. It really, it really impressed me, and one of the reasons I think why I liked it so much was it reminded me a lot of Captain Tsubasa, which I think both of us grew up with this anime series,
Yeah.
and it's, to this day, it's still my favorite. I struggle between, again, I haven't read Slam Dunk, so don't point that to me because I know that is one of the greatest ones. But of the sports anime that I've seen, uh, IQ really comes close, but I think Captain Tsubasa still is my favorite, and this show reminded me so much, especially the beginning, because it starts with the protagonist moving out to a new place. And although, unlike Tsubasa himself, he never played soft tennis before. But he is very, he's very good. He has good reflexes, and he and his stamina is really good as well. So um, the only thing that I can see people not liking about the protagonist is he's a little bit like Kirito. He's very much OP, you know, because again he has never played soft tennis before, and suddenly he's able to play it very well. And this team that have been playing soft tennis for much longer than he has still suck, and he is the one who has to teach them. But in a way you can understand how he's able to teach them properly because of his personality, the way that he does things. But yeah, I think I really enjoy this, and no one talked about this series, and I think more people should
Okay.
watch this, should give it a chance.
I actually I don't think I've ever heard of that series. It's amazing. So you have found a series that I haven't heard of.
Yeah,
So
even I was surprised when I found out about this one.
yeah. So do you want to go with like yours, and then I'll, because I only have one left. So
Then I'll
I
guess
don't know
I'll
how many do you have left?
so I have one, two, I have four left. One, two,
Four. Okay.
three,
So like
four. Yeah.
maybe say the three, then I'll say my one, and then you say your last one.
Very well.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's we should do that. So this one, I'm just gonna put the take this one out because I want to talk about the romances together. So the last one, the last one is not a romance. So yeah, this one is Seraph of the End. I don't know if you've heard about
Yeah,
this
I have heard of. I
one.
haven't watched it, but I definitely have heard of it.
Now this one, I think, I made fun of you for Angels of Death, but I can see it be more or less like Angels of Death, in the sense of it's not, it isn't anything special, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's
That's
still
what I've heard
interesting.
about.
Yeah, it's still interesting to watch. It's
Yeah.
a combination of, and again, this came first, so I don't think Attack on Titan copied this. I don't think Seraph of the End copied Attack on Titan, although I don't think Attack on Titan copied Seraph of the End. But it's interesting because they share the same studio. Which studio did
Oh,
this?
okay.
It's a mixture of Attack on Titan, Tokyo Ghoul a little bit, uh, Code Vein, which is a game that came out that was basically Dark Souls but anime.
Yeah.
You have where you have this post-apocalyptic world, and it's vampires versus humans, and I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I love vampires. Maybe that's why, and I like the characters. The story itself, it's nothing really special, but I like the characters enough, and I like the relation between the two main protagonists so much that I would put it here in the recommendation of underrated anime, especially because not enough. I know there are a lot of manga fans, but when it comes to the anime, it was really popular at the time, but nobody talked about it anymore. And it's not finished as well. It still doesn't have a third season, which is a shame. But yeah, I would put it as a recommendation. I think it's interesting, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
what I've heard about it, it seems interesting too. So that's a series I was already going to check it out, even if you wouldn't recommend it to me,
yeah, yeah.
because I've heard good things about it.
So now I'm gonna go to the two romances. I want to take them out of the park already. One, I think we both know this one, Fruits Basket. Um,
Yeah,
it's interesting because you know it's not a classic, but it's sort of well known. But yet I don't. Nobody talks about it. And
yeah,
it it's
I haven't seen
fascinating.
a lot of content about it too.
And again, I'm not talking about the original one because there are more people who talk about the original one. But it's interesting because those who have watched the original one prefer the reboot, the remake, because the original one, it didn't follow the storyline of the manga 100%. It was like, and so they made a remake, and it's like Full Metal Alchemist in a way. You had Full Metal Alchemist, and then
Yeah,
you
with
had
Brotherhood.
Brotherhood, and this one is a little bit like that. And I still haven't seen all of season two, but season one was such a surprise. It's an interesting story. It's not the type of story that I feel like I will enjoy, and yet I did. And I say it's a romance, but genuinely, it's much more sweet. It has romance in it, but it's more about friendship, I think, and and the main character, and again, maybe those who have seen My Best Girl of what 2019, I think, I've put the main character, Toru, as best girl of that list. Spoiler alert, but she is one of the best characters I've seen in any anime show. She's so pure, but so likable, and yet so complex at the same time. It's interesting, Usually with characters like this, you don't really. And that's the thing about Fruits Basket. It's the remake. It's it's so complex, What you think certain characters are very simple minded, are very much one note. The author gives them backstories that just gives you a completely different outlook on the characters. And I just think this is one of those stories that has a lot of meat to it. And again, I'm not going to talk about the concept because I want to rush a little bit these things, but the concept is so interesting that I never thought I was going to enjoy this. So if you don't think that the concept is very interesting, give a try for the characters because the characters are phenomenal. There's a huge cast of characters and all of them are very interesting. So the other romance, and this is one of my favorite, all-time favorites as well, even though I still haven't finished season three, but I'm close to it, and I don't think I'm gonna change my mind. And that is Oregairu, or my teen romantic comedy Snafu. And this one is just, I really don't have much to say because I think it's almost perfect. And it's interesting because even though I really enjoy the first season, a lot of people prefer the first season over the second season, and I think even the third one. But I actually think the opposite. I actually think it got better and better. I actually think the second season made it even more mature and even more complex, and the third season is capitalizing on all of it because I think it's the last season. So each season is 12 episodes long, and if you have not seen this show, please, it's incredibly underrated. You know, Fans of the series talk a lot about it, but they're very few, I think. Not many people talk about this, and It's actually a shame I haven't talked about it in the channel yet as well. But yeah, it's just it has some of the best girls, and it has probably my favorite character. Um, Kaneki is probably my second one, so um, that's probably my favorite character of any anime show that I've seen because he's just so fucking relatable. It's nuts, and so yeah, you have to check Koregairo if you haven't. It's
And
masterful.
coming from you saying that this character is better than Kaneki, it's amazing.
I would
Like,
say
let's just take in consideration your profile picture is Kaneki.
Kaneki is much more complex, I would say, and I will personally relate a little bit more to Kaneki, but um, I don't know why I'm blanking. It's interesting. I say he's my favorite character, but then I don't remember his name. Ah, Jesus, I'm not remembering his name. Why? I'm blanking. Doesn't matter. But he he's complex as well, but in a different way, I would say. You know, in a much more realistic way because there are no, you know, there is no torture like with Kaneki. You know, things like that evolve his character. There's nothing like that. It's a um, different kind of issues that he has to deal with that makes him evolve as a person. And it's truly a great thing to see him develop as a character throughout all of the seasons. But yeah, you can now finally talk about your one.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I know Fruits Basket and Origamo. I haven't seen both of them. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of romance anime, but they from what I've heard and seen, they're really good.
Yeah.
So my last one, and I think you're gonna agree with me for sure. It's Ping Pong the animation.
Oh, that is definitely an underrated one.
Because the anime is great. It's very different. The animation is very different from regular great in quotation marks great anime, but it's amazing. Like they it, it the character development in the series is also good. Like, and I think the most impressive thing is the old the way that the thing was worked. The anime was worked. Like the animation is completely different, but it just fits perfectly the anime itself. So, and it's definitely not talked about enough, in my opinion, because it's definitely one of the best series ever. My honestly, because
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know, it's just great. If you haven't seen Ping Pong the animation, you should, because it's yeah, it's amazing. It's the art style is it's breathtaking, and the the characters are very well written. So I really, really, really recommend Ping Pong, especially if you're a sports anime fan. But even if you aren't, like, you're gonna love the anime anyways. But it's definitely one of my favorite sports anime, definitely. And although I haven't watched that many sports anime, this one is just great. So, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me. Ping
Yeah.
Pong the animation is it's just completely different. It's something completely out of the blue, completely new. I'm pretty sure you haven't seen anything like that for real. Like the characters very well written, the art style completely new, completely yeah, and it's good. Like when you look at the first time, you might think the animation is weird and you won't like it. But for real, like the animation, you just I wouldn't say get used to it, but you just start to like it more and more. And the animation is really good, and the art style is really good too. So yeah, like being, I left it for last place because it's definitely one of the best from all the things I've picked. Ping Pong the animation is it's amazing. You should really check it out.
I'm so glad that we have two sports anime in our lists. and both our lists combined. That's really great. Um, so my last one is Land of the Lustrous. And I remember when we talked about this topic, talking about this subject matter of underrated anime. This was probably the first one that came into my mind, because even when I watched it for the first time, no one was talking about this. Only the big YouTubers, like Last Reflection, and this damn anime. You know, I wouldn't say the story is, it's like transcendent or anything like that, but the mythology and the world building, and it's all of it is so unique. All of the characters are so likable and interesting, and especially the main character. If you want to see, if you like characters like Kaneki, which go through a radical transformation, you're gonna love the main protagonist of the series. Um, and the great thing about Land of the Lustrous is that all of the characters, except their mentor, which is, I think, well, I can't say too much about his character because, spoilers, but all of the main cast is they are gems. Literally, they are gems. This is literally a hidden gem, and it's so fitting, really. And they are like, they're like diamonds, right? Their composition, they're not human. And don't ask me how it works. I can't tell you. They're called phospholites. That's the scientific term. And the main protagonist, she's the weakest of all of them. She breaks very easily, and her personality, she's very innocent and all that, but as the story progresses, and this is just 12 episodes, so it's you can watch it very quickly. It's based on a manga, and it's not finished, unfortunately. I really want a season 2, but you can watch the first season and be fine, and if you're interested, you can read the manga. And it's she changes so much from the very beginning to the end, and it's a marvel to see. And it's basically these gems, they have to fight against invaders from the moon. I think they're basically aliens, because they want to use their bodies as materials to for some reason, which is unknown. And that's the great thing about the series, is the mystery as well. You want to know who are these creatures who are invading the world, and you want to know more about the world in general. And and also the great thing about this is that it's CG. It's in 3 dimensions, the animation, but it's probably the best CG animation that I've seen. The way that they use it, it's so beautiful, and it's so pretty to look at, and they mix 2D backgrounds as well, and it's just gorgeous. And if you're not a fan of CG animation, watch this and you're gonna change your mind. This is how CG animation is done well. Should be done, at least. And I don't know, man. This is, nobody talks about this, and the music, the OST, the opening and the ending, the 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 tone of the story. It's also great. It's also amazing, and I'm so sad that not nearly enough people talk about this show or have seen this show. It's great. Please check it out.
So, well, I think those were our last ones. So,
Yeah, I think we've finally finished this topic. This is definitely going to be our biggest podcast. So yeah, I guess we shall go to the finales, the anime finales.
yeah, so,
All right. So you want to make the honors now? Since I've finished, I was the last one to finish this one.
okay. So I'm gonna steal this one for you because I know you have this on your list.
Oh God.
And but I have to say it because I've watched it pretty recent pretty recently, like what 1 month ago. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Like
Yeah.
like do I need to say anything about this? Like it's obvious that I'm pretty sure. Do you have this on your list?
This one is interesting. I'm gonna let you finish first, and then I'm gonna talk about it.
Okay, so both Full Metal Alchemist and Brotherhood, I like both endings. Though they were really good. Although not gonna lie, I predicted the one from Brotherhood, but
Yeah.
well, I kind of predict everything that's gonna happen. So I am the villain of my own anime. I have a plan for everything. So, but like I wouldn't say it's the best ending. I I but for real, it's the 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 highest score in my anime list. That says a lot. Well, not really, but it kind of says some things. It's not my favorite anime at all. Like I didn't even gave it a 10 out of 10. But the ending is it's amazing. I really like, and the animation is good throughout all the series.
Mhm.
But the ending, the way that everything ends, I don't want to spoil how it ends, but the way that the story ends, I quite enjoyed it, and I also enjoyed the original one, but more the Brotherhood.
Yeah, so I have mixed feelings about this. Like you, I love both. Although I've always had a preference. Again, I think there are things Brotherhood does better than the original one, and I think there are things that the original does that are better than Brotherhood. That's why when I recommend Full Metal Alchemist, like I did with you and Spark, I always mention both. I think because both, and that's the thing. When you watch Brotherhood, it's structured in a way where you really need to see the first one, the original one, to understand the full scope. You know, there are certain characters that they flesh out more in the first one than they do in the second one. I think um, the beginning of the original Full Metal Alchemist is stronger than Brotherhood, and
Definitely.
I mentioned the beginning of the original one because that's how the manga starts. The beginning of Brotherhood is not the same as the manga. It's anime exclusive in a way, and I like it, but I much prefer the way that the story starts in the original one.
The original. I completely agree.
The ending, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm not the. I like happy endings. I do, of course. But I. But the thing about happy endings for me is that most of them are so predictable. You know, you mentioned
True.
that you were able to predict the Brotherhood ending. So did I. It's really predictable. You can tell they're going for a happy ending, and it is a predictable one. And that is the ending of the manga as well. Again, it's a good ending, and I like that something had to be sacrificed because usually with happy endings, things are not sacrificed. You know, that's one of the reasons why I like. Uh, you know, even though I knew Naruto was gonna have a happy ending, I like that there was a sacrifice that had to be made. You know, there. For those who haven't seen Naruto, I'm not gonna spoil, but you know, Naruto and Sasuke had to lose something. You know, in order to achieve an understanding, and and
I'm laughing because I know what they lost.
yeah, man, and in Brotherhood, there is a sacrifice that Ed makes, like in the original one, but I don't know. I feel like the ending of the original one, and I know everyone talks Brotherhood as the best one. I've always had more of a soft spot for the original one, but again, there are things that I very much prefer. I think the animation overall in Brotherhood is it's better and more
Yeah.
consistent. But I I like the ending of the original one better. You know, I think it's much more unpredictable. The story, I think, overall is more unpredictable than Brotherhood's. And
In the ending, in the original, like they rushed things a little bit, and in the beginning of the end, it start to it's kind of hard to understand what's going on. In the end, everything becomes clear, but like I don't like the fact that in the beginning of the end, they introduce a lot of concepts that we didn't know and that are just confuse people. That's why I prefer the Brotherhood better. But I'll be honest, like I think the original is really, really, really good.
Maybe it's because I applaud the ambition, you know, that they actually tried something that was completely different from the manga, and it was different. It was that kind of ending that I really didn't expect. And I think the sacrifice itself, maybe it's more fleshed out in Brotherhood, but Edward's sacrifice in in the original one, it's more dark, and
absolutely.
it's much less happy. And I know there's a film that completes this arc. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the film. I think you don't need to watch. I like that it's ambiguous, the ending. I do. And I love the concept that, of course, I can't say spoilers, but I love the type of sacrifice, you know, that Edward makes, you know, and you know, I like that idea. I like the concept. But I think generally, I think the thing that the original one has above the manga in Brotherhood is the tone is more consistent to the beginning of the story, because the beginning of the story is dark. You know, it's grounded, and the entire show, the original one, is dark. You know, it's very mature. In Brotherhood, there are a lot of moments that are very lighthearted, and and that's why I think the happy ending works perfectly for Brotherhood. But yeah, I don't know. I've always had a preference for the original one, you know. But again, I think both of them are important next to each other.
Yeah, I agree. And while I was watching, I definitely preferred the beginning of the original, but in the end, like I still think that the way that the author of the manga ended was a little bit better. Not a lot better, but
Yeah.
a little bit. It just, but by a very slim, like it wasn't for much, honestly.
So, do you want to say your next one? Since I talked, since you know, in the other topic, I've talked, you know, you know, all
Uh,
of the series next to each other.
oh, that's just how many do you have?
I have much less choices. But yeah, but if you want to talk about your next one, please go ahead.
No, I just want to see if you have kind of the same number as me, or if you have way more, and
I have one, two. I have four, at least four.
Oh, okay. So I think I'll do another one because I kind of have more. So, well, like you know how much I love Death Note, right? And it happens that, and I don't think have you read the whole manga, the Death Note manga? Have you read?
I have. I haven't really. You know, I've read most of it in the ending, but I never completed it fully.
Because the ending of Death Note is in the manga is so much better than the ending in the not really. I really like the ending in the anime because it has a lot of symbolism and a lot of things that like that a real fan would really enjoy. But in the manga, it's completely different, and it's one of the best endings. When I read it, I was like, then this has nothing to do with the ending. The dialogue in the while Nier is with Ryu in the storage room. Do you remember when?
Yeah, I remember.
Literally in the beginning, it's so much longer. The dialogue between Nier and Ryuk and Nier and Light and even Light and Ryuk, they have much more dialogue, and it just makes the series way better. I like the way the anime finished the series. It's not a bad ending, not at all. But the way the manga ends it, it's even like, especially if you like Light Yagami, if you like the character, you're gonna love the ending, because I'm just gonna say there's literally a cult for Light, like, and that's what most fans want, because it's true. In the ending, Light, it happens the same thing. Light loses and dies, but that's the thing. Like, Light also had a lot of impact in the world, and we don't see a lot of that we don't see basically any of that in the anime. And for a Light fan like me, I completely love Light. I think Light is way better than L and Nier and Mellow, although those three, I really like them too. Light, I just think that Light and Kira is superior.
He's the most complex, for sure.
Yeah. And to see that he actually kind of accomplished his dream too, it's a way more satisfying ending to the Light fans than that ending that they provided us in the anime. Because in the anime, we don't know what happens. And like in the manga, it's way more complete. The ending is just such, it's 100 times better, for real. And like I said, the ending in the anime is already good, but the ending in the manga, it finished. It doesn't let anything loose. Everything is closed. You understand everything that happened. Everything Nier is explained. Everything is explained, and it gives you a way more understanding of the story. And I think it pleases way more the fans than the anime that they give in the ending that they give in the anime. So Death Note is definitely, after I read it, I was like, Jesus, this is amazing. So I think I lowered my rating on my anime list of the anime, so I could give a higher rating to the manga, because the ending of the manga is just amazing. I would dare say it's almost perfect, honestly.
Yeah, that's a good choice, actually. You know, I don't know why I didn't think you were gonna pick that one. I don't know. You know, it's such an obvious choice, I think. But yeah, it's a good choice. It's a good choice. Um, well, mine one is gonna be obvious as well, and I'm gonna just put the two of them together. I genuinely think these are some of the best endings in anime in general. I know there will be people who will disagree with me. That's just my opinion, and it's not. I'm not trying to be biased. I never felt like this, and the way I guess I judged this, picking these choices, was, to me, the best finales are the ones that truly not only deliver on the story and the themes of the story, but just tears you apart, you know? Just breaks you. And I mean, both season one's ending and season two's, the endings for the Tokyo Ghoul first two seasons are just, to me, are some of the absolute best. And, and definitely some of the most memorable. You know, I don't put the actual ending of the entirety of the series with Re, but I think on their own, the way the way that the final episode 12 of the first season, wraps up the themes of the story, and the same thing happens with the second season, the way that final episode also wraps up the themes of not just the second season, but the two seasons combined, I think it's just brilliant. And it's definitely, it's also underrated, really, because I don't think enough people give the props it deserves. The animation in both is incredible. The direction is just very, it's brilliant, really. It's all very, you can tell it's all very purposeful, and the emotion, the sheer emotion that it provokes on you is, I mean, it's like no other. Say what you will about the seasons overall. I think those episodes individually are just on a league of their own. They're just, even people that I know that didn't really like, the anime, the Tokyo Ghoul anime, they will, they agree with me in the sense that, yeah, those two episodes are really good. So,
I agree with you.
I would. You mentioned the manga of the Death Note. I would. Since you mentioned the Death Note manga ending, I will probably put there as well. Um, the ending overall, even though I would have preferred a more tragic ending. I like the anime didn't make justice to the ending of the manga, and also I really like the original ending of the first part of Tokyo Ghoul, which of course has Kaneki injure an even worse fate. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I really think that the Tokyo Ghoul's ending are really good. Both the tragic one and the not so tragic one.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, do you want do you want me to go with another one or?
You can go ahead with another one.
So, I think I don't know if you have this on your list. This is the one I told you before we started recording that you probably have, or you definitely know that I'm gonna talk about this, and it's Evangelion's ending.
Jesus, man, yeah.
Like it's Evangelion. Like it has 3 endings for a reason.
That's true.
Because the endings are good, all of them. But the endings are amazing in Evangelion. And if you haven't watched Evangelion, anyone that is watching the video, please do. Evangelion is amazing. It's one of the best series I've ever saw, and it's a classic.
It's a classic, yeah.
It's definitely a classic, and it's one of the best series that ever. And I really like the endings. Like, it has a lot of endings, but it's not because the endings are bad. It's because it could end in very ways, and all the ways it can end, they're all amazing. So definitely check that out, and definitely one of my favorite endings ever. And I think you agree with me. It's amazing. Like, it's Evangelion. It's a classic. Everyone has seen it, or if he hasn't, you should, because it's a classic, and it's just perfect in my opinion.
Which one do you prefer? Because when I put it on my list, I actually had one above the others. One that was actually.
Yeah,
I thought it was.
I think I've discussed this with you. I prefer the original one. Many people say it's not that good because they had not a lot of money to end, but the way they did, I always say this. I really like the way they put the people that were real people going through. Maybe it was because I was watching the ending at 2 a.m., but I thought that was genius. I was like, what? Yes, because in the end, a little spoiler alert, the Shinji he becomes part of that material, and he has to decide if the whole world stays in that material alive, or if he comes out with the people he likes, and if he gives if he stays in the liquid form, or if he gets his body back. And the way they represent that, the fact that Shinji has now the whole life in him. I thought it was genius. Like the picture with Shinji thinking and the picture of people running in the streets, but real people. I thought it was perfect. I was like, man, these guys are genius. This is like, maybe it was because it was 2 a.m., but I don't think it was. I really think it was very well made. Although later I got to know that it was because they didn't have a lot of money. But I think that if they did it on purpose, that was very smart. If they didn't, well, I guess
it's still impressive, right?
Thank God they didn't have that much money.
It's still impressive because even if they didn't have the budget for it, they still were able to make it so thought-provoking and make sense, still make the theme was so powerful that it didn't matter if they didn't have much animation. It carried over the entirety of the story. And yeah, I agree with you in the sense that when we're talking about the series, I do prefer this ending because it's much more personal, right? They're not, it's not this epic, grand finale. It's all about Shinji. It's always been all about Shinji, and I love how different and unique the ending is from everything else. But when I was actually making this list, I was thinking, in the grand scheme of things, even though I love that ending so much, I I don't know, the images in the end of Evangelion just, to me, just marked me, and it's like, yes, even though it was epic and grand, it was still personal as well. And I don't know, it's just, and it doesn't have much to do with the animation. It's really the imagery, really. Just when I think about epic and greatest finales of all time, Jesus, those images pop right in my head right away. But I agree with you. I think all of the endings are stupendous, are just incredible. But yeah, you mentioned Evangelion. That's, yeah, that was, we're both huge fans of this series, so that was a no-brainer. Um, I guess I'm going to another classic to make the transition smoother. And we talked about Ghost in the Shell. I do think the ending of Ghost in the Shell, the original movie, I mean, that final part overall, I think that's what makes the movie for me. It's where the themes and the philosophy is in the forefront. It's truly in the forefront. And that final shot, I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, which you absolutely should. It's a classic, and it's a classic for a reason. That final shot where you have the little girl, again, I don't want to spoil too much, but for those who have seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The little girl looking at the city, and saying something like, "This is where we begin. This is the new beginning." I mean, that's the kind of ending where I just, yeah, that's perfect. It encompasses everything that the film is about, and it's iconic. The opening of the movie is iconic, and the ending of the movie is iconic. It's just great.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, that Ghost in the Shell it's another classic that it's just great. So I'm gonna go with another classic because this anime I haven't I've watched it not long ago. Cowboy Bebop. Like, I don't know if you have watched it, but the ending it's amazing. Like, and it's not particularly the ending. It's the bang. Like, that bang is so perfect.
Yeah.
Like, the bang it's perfect. The only reason why I put Cowboy Bebop here is because of the bang. It's the only reason. It's enough. It's just enough to make the ending perfect.
It's iconic.
Yes. And the thing is, through all the series, we see that the character. That's what I also like about Cowboy Bebop. The series doesn't make a lot of sense when you think clearly. Like,
Yeah.
there's not a plot, a defined plot,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a theme that goes around all episodes, and is the fact that the main characters, the main crew of the series cannot forget their past. Well, Faye can, because she lost her memories, but she recovered it. So, like they cannot. They're still grieving from the past, especially Spiegel, Spike Spiegel, because let's be honest, he still thinks about the blonde chick. I forgot the name, but he still thinks about her every day, and like the way that they end the series, it just makes sense. The way that everything was closed, because the whole series supposedly didn't make sense. It's a little bit like a series that I will talk, another ending that I will talk next, but like the bang is just the most iconic and one of the best endings ever. I just love when Spike Spiegel says bang. It's just perfect. And if you haven't watched Cowboy Bebop, do so and watch it in dub, because the dub is amazing. And then watch it in sub, because the sub is really good too.
Watch it twice, both in different ways.
Yeah.
That's a good choice, actually. Yeah. Now, I'm going to talk about, I said I was going to bring this up again, and I have to. Monsters ending is. That's, when I mentioned, I'm not a big fan of happy endings. That's how you do an happy ending that is, that is thought provoking. The final shot of the anime, and then the ED song on the background is chilling. I remember when I watched the ending for the first time, and I was speechless. I was like, "What the fuck is going on? What the hell just happened?" And it's one of those endings that chills you to the bone, and you don't know if it's real or not. Again, it's ambiguous, but again, everything else is wrapped up very nicely. Again, usually happy endings, you have everything all tied up together nicely in a nice bow, but that last scene, that last image it's iconic, man. I don't know, and it's like it bothers me that not just they don't talk enough, people don't talk enough about this series or haven't seen it. People don't talk about this ending. It's brilliant, and it's like, God, it's so good. And I don't have much to say because it's just perfect. If you see it, you know exactly what I mean. It's great. It's fantastic.
Another reason to watch or read Monster.
It delivers, man. It delivers on every cylinders, and the ending, it delivers, man. It really does.
So, the anime I was talking previously, and that also has a. When I was talking about Cowboy Bebop, it's also kind of a classic. Not really, but I think a lot of people have seen it, which is Samurai Champloo.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
if you know Samurai Champloo.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard.
The ending, like, it's not. It's just like makes sense. It just makes sense, like, yeah, because that's what the story is all about. The story is all about the journey that they have to find a certain samurai that is called. They call it the Sunflower Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole anime is searching for that samurai. And in the end, they find the samurai, and the story ends, and it just makes sense how the way he ends, and that's what makes the ending just perfect, because it just makes sense. There's nothing else. It doesn't end with a boom or a bang or anything like that, but it just makes sense. You're just like, yeah, okay, it's so reasonable. You don't question the ending, because it's that an anime like that would end like that. It's
Yeah.
just so, so like the ending just makes sense for real. Like you're just like, yeah, okay, I completely understand this ending. It's completely, it is what the series deserves. Not because it's a bad ending. No, quite the opposite. It's because it's literally the most fitting ending for the whole series.
It's the most logical conclusion.
Yeah, like, and it's, I don't know. It's something that only by seeing it you realize that it is a really good ending, because when you watch it without watching the whole series, you might think that it's a bad ending, but the way it ends after seeing the whole series, you're just like, yeah, I am more than satisfied with this ending, because it's just perfect for the kind of anime I'm watching.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen it, so but I'll take your word, of course. So
Yeah, I really recommend you. And the opening of the music, it's amazing. I really like the opening theme of
yeah,
Samurai
I've
Champloo.
heard the opening. The opening is it's something, man. It reminds me of Cowboy Bebop's opening as well.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
very.
Like they're very similar endings.
I mean, wasn't
they're very similar animes too.
yeah,
Like,
wasn't
the opening is amazing. The ending, it just makes sense.
I think they have don't they share the same director? I think they do.
Probably
I think
because the animation is very similar too.
Yeah, I think it was
And
the
I
same
watched
director.
both in dub first, and the even the voice actors are similar.
Mm-hmm. So my next one, and I just remembered of another ending. That's why this is not gonna be my last one, but this was actually my last one, and it's a very interesting one. And it's the ending for Attack on Titan's season 3, part 2.
Yeah. I was gonna talk about the endings of Attack on Titan too.
Man, I enjoy all of the endings, but damn, that anime finale not just made it. It didn't make me just super excited for season 4. Obviously, it redefined Attack on Titan on its entirety. Because beforehand, I enjoyed Attack on Titan. Really enjoyed Attack on Titan. But that ending, those final episodes, really. But the whole, the way that they wrapped that first half, it changed everything. It truly changed all of it, and it's one of the most I'd consider one of the most brilliant anime finales ever, because it doesn't just change your perception, it makes the story, it puts the story on a whole nother level. The implications, the fact that everything connects, and it's like everything that is revealed, you can tell.
Makes sense.
Yes, you can tell it was planned out from the very beginning. It also, I don't know, man, it's the idea and the concept just makes it so much more interesting and complex. And I don't know, it is it's a strange feeling, because when I watched that episode where they uncover the truth, right, and they find out about the past, it the shift in me, my perception of the show just changed right there, right? It was immediate. I felt something, a feeling that was completely different from everything that I'd seen prior. And that's why I'm so excited for season 4, because the possibilities are endless. And it just made Attack on Titan's story close to being perfect, being a masterpiece, being a classic. Just that's how good that finale is.
Yeah.
And I needed to talk about this specific finale because it's to me it's by a clear mile the best one out of all of the seasons, but also this I know. Of course, I don't know. We still don't know the ending for the Attack on Titan story, but if it surpasses this, I'm gonna be fucking shocked. Yeah, this is gonna be one of those classic endings, I think.
Yeah, and I read the manga, so I can say that it will probably surpass. We don't know yet, but
Yeah.
probably. So yeah, and what I like the most is the fact that the whole goal until they find out the truth about the world is finding the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And when Eren finally finds the sea, he doesn't care about the sea anymore. He cares what is after that sea.
The implications.
He even says and points out. So that's where they are. So that thing just impacts in a whole other level, because you realize that Eren is not the same Eren anymore. He's not thinking about the sea or finding the sea. His goal is not knowing the world, and he's still fighting for freedom. But he now knows that there are more people that don't allow his freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And that is amazing. The way that he reacts, it's completely different. You see Mikasa and Armin in the sea, happy to see finally see the sea and finally be able to enjoy more than what they have in the walls. And Eren is completely different. He is not reacting like the other Servicors. He knows what is on the other side of
he knows the truth. He knows all of it, and that's the sort of shit that I eat, man. That is the tragedy that I want, man. That's it. It's juicy, man. It's all of it.
You're gonna love the ending of Attack on Titan, and I know the manga readers that are watching the video are with a big smile on their face, thinking this guy's gonna love the ending, because yeah, it's amazing. So I don't think this is my last one. Maybe I should do like you did before. I'm gonna go through all until my last one, and then you end the video. So the other ending I wanted to talk. The other endings I wanted to talk about are, for example, the ending for Yakusoku Neverland, or Promised Neverland. The ending of season 1, like it's so good because we don't know what's next. We know there will be demons next. We know there will be danger, but we don't know anything. And we know that this is definitely just the beginning. And the way that everything ended, and it's just amazing. I think it's one of the best endings from animes from the last year, because Jesus, that was a hell of an ending, definitely. Like, it just gives that cliffhanger that you just want to see season 2, or just go and read the manga, because you want to. They tease you so much with that ending. You're like, what is going to happen now? Because it's so good, the ending. And I maybe a lot of people will agree with me, but this ending, I just love it.
It's a good ending. It's definitely a good ending.
Yeah, and the other one, it's a little bit controversial, because okay, I'm gonna say it's Erased. The ending for Erased.
Mm-hmm.
This coming from the guy that in the second episode with Spark completely shitted on the ending of Erased. But the thing is, I'm not talking about the ending of the anime, but the ending of the manga. Because believe me, it's completely different. It's nothing alike. In the anime, they rushed the ending because they wanted to do that 12 episode limit. But in the manga, they just explore way more. The thing that I dislike the most about the anime ending is the fact that the main character does not get the goal. it made he doesn't get the girl in the in the manga. Sorry, Spark. I know you wanted it. If you're watching this, Spark, I know you wanted that, but it doesn't happen in the manga either. But it makes sense in the manga. It makes sense why it doesn't happen, because the way that the main character recovers his memories is not through that girl, but through the girl that he doesn't even know who she is. But he gets some memories and he starts getting to know her better. And that girl is the girl that he worked with in his quote unquote previous life, because it's not quite the previous life, it's the life that was erased. Everything is erased in that show. Jesus Christ. I'm starting to understand the title. And the ending is way better. And they also explore way more why the teacher did the things they did, how he became a psychopath, because the teacher was a psychopath, and everything is so so much better and better explored, that this ending in the manga is way better than in the anime, and it's definitely a really good ending. Only in the manga, unfortunately.
Yeah, we talked about this before, and I haven't read the ending of the manga, but once again, I trust you. I trust you, man.
Man, I could just say shit and
you could be absolutely bullshitting me, and I will still believe you.
You'll be like, yeah, sure, yeah, I know, yeah, that's true. And well, I think my last ending would be Assassination Classroom. I don't want to say the end a lot about this, because it involves a lot of spoilers. But if you have watched Assassination Classroom, you know what I'm talking about. The ending is amazing. You shed more than just one tear, and it's a really good ending. If you haven't watched Assassination Classroom, I really recommend. It's a really good shonen, and it's actually not that popular, so maybe it would be a good item also for the underrated animes. But I didn't think as an underrated, but it's definitely one of the best endings ever.
Not many people talk about it, but recognize it. You know, a lot of people recognize.
People watched it.
Yeah. But yeah, I actually, you know, I said that I remember another ending. You know, I wouldn't put it in the same category as the other ones, but I feel like it's such a, you know, it's one of those endings that you have to think, really think, and that is the ending for Perfect Blue. If you haven't watched Perfect Blue, it's another classic, and it's actually the movie Black Swan with Natalie Portman. It's basically based on that film, because the director Darren Aronofsky bought the rights for Perfect Blue, and it's one of those movies that you watch and you're just like, damn, you know, this is brilliant, and it's just fucked up, and the ending is, it really leaves you scratching your head, and you have so many questions, and you don't have, again, it's ambiguous, and you don't really know what is real, what isn't, and I just thought it was also a good ending to mention, and again, it's a classic, so I do, it's one of those endings that definitely deserves to be on that spot as well. But yeah, with this, I think we've just finished all of it, haven't we?
Yeah.
And yeah, this was definitely the longest podcast that we've done. Jesus. I hope that there will be enough people who will see this, because if not, Jesus Christ. So for those who've watched till the very end and haven't skipped a thing, congratulations. I'll give you nothing. just the pleasure of you listening to our beautiful voices. So, uh, uh, and even those who have skipped and went for topics that they enjoy more than others, thank you. Just the fact that you guys are watching the video is really good. Um, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. This was definitely one of the most fun to make. Um, we really talked a lot. I'm sure, just like me, Simple Weeb is just completely, his throat must be completely destroyed by now. Um, but yeah, I really appreciate all of those who watched. Also, I forgot to mention this in the beginning. Thank you for all of those who have watched the second episode. I mean, Jesus Christ, it went into places I didn't think it would be. It would. So really, thank you for that. And and yeah, man, this was it was a pleasure as always.
Yeah, I really like to do this podcast, and every video I do with you, I really like it. It's always good to talk with other weebs
Of course.
about anime. So, and it's always my pleasure to be here with you, do the podcast. Even when we do the SBS, I really like it. I always love to do videos with you, and it's always my pleasure to do it. And I'm happy you also enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. This is, when I first thought about the idea of the podcast, I really thought it was a fun idea, but I never thought I would have this much fun. Honestly, it really has been quite something, quite an experience, and yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk, to talk about with people in general about anime, but to talk with you because just like me, you have culture, my friend. You have that culture, and and it's great. So, if you wanna give some closing thoughts, go ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna thank you for having me here and say if you guys want to check my videos, I'm currently doing a summary of the One Piece series, and I have Dave Grohl with me in my SBS where I take your guys and Dave Grohl's questions and try to answer the best I can. So yeah, if you want to check that out, I'll really appreciate it. And see you in my channel then.
And yeah, so I guess this is it for me as well. Thank you all for watching once again. Please stay safe. Please stay well. I really wish you all the best. And yeah, thank you for watching. Also, look forward for a special Halloween video because of course I didn't do in previous years a special video for my favorite time of the year, and I need to change that. So um, I'll also do it with Simple Weeb and another guest, and hopefully if we can. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun video. So yeah, look forward to that. I'll upload it the 31st. So yeah, until then, spooky times. Goodbye, everyone. Ja, matane. I'll see you in the next video.